Aloha, everyone, and welcome to the Kauai County Council Roundup here at the Hawaii Studios. This is covering yesterday's committee meetings, August 21st. I'm Chair Mel Rapozo with Vice Chair Kipukai Kualii.
Aloha.
Thank you for joining us. Yesterday's agenda was short, but quite impactful. We started off kind of on a somber note, even though it was a recognition of some heroic deeds. It was a situation where three of our local residents went up and volunteered in the search efforts for Mr. Dylan Wagner. He was missing for a couple of days, and Clayton Kubo, Eben Manini, and Tim O'Rourke went up after the search had already been called off. They had gone up and utilizing a search dog and just their knowledge of their skills in the mountain, were able to find, unfortunately, found Mr. Wagner. Unfortunately, he was not alive. But we did want to recognize these three individuals for their efforts and their volunteerism and their commitment to community. This is not the first search that they have done over the years. They are quite visible in all searches for missing people here on Kauai, especially up in the mountain areas. So just a certificate presentation recognizing them, and also an opportunity to kind of celebrate the life of Dylan Wagner. His fiancée Olivia was there, as well as many of his family and friends. So,
All the council members took the time too to send out their condolences to the family and loved ones of Dylan Wagner. Chair, you even said something, I think, when you were talking with Mr. Manini about a special send-off or something, and Mr. Manini had said, oh yeah, it was with the help of some kupuna or something.
yeah, they actually put together a ceremony. It's a send-off ceremony. This was up at Loop Road, up on one of the trails, just not very far from the parking lot. And Eben Manini, who's, he's a lifetime, I call him the mountain man, because he's so familiar. He's native Hawaiian. He understands all of the history in many of our trails. And he wanted to do a proper send-off for Dylan at the location that he was found. And so a bunch of his family and friends, including Olivia, was there. I did join them. I went up the trail, hiked up to where the location was, and Eben did an amazing ceremony with tea leaf and salt and prayer. There was a kahu from the North Shore. I apologize, I can't remember her name. But it was so emotional, but it brought some closure for Olivia and other members of Dylan's family. It was quite phenomenal, and I'm just so glad I had that opportunity.
I think it's just a beautiful example of how community comes together and supports each other. These are the guys that were just doing search, and then Manini had it in him to also do this as well with the help of kupuna and kahu.
Yeah, and his explanation of why this needed to be done, I'm not going to go into it, but there was a reason, and it was a cultural reason, and I'm not going to try to tell you what it was, because I don't want to screw it up. But it was definitely, I felt it. I didn't know Dylan, and I think a few of us on the trail did not know Dylan personally, but there were just so many volunteers. And while these three did get recognized, we got to say mahalo to all the others that were up there for a few days.
Yep.
Scouring that entire mountain area. So, but these three were the ones that located him, and that's why the certificates were presented. So,
we had another certificate, right?
yeah, Kauai Marathon. Which, by the way, Mr.
15 years.
Mr. Kualii said he was gonna do, maybe not this year, but possibly in the next year
not
or
just me,
two.
right? Councilmember Kagawa also.
He started, and then Kipukai followed. So.
Yeah, after I retire, when I have more time and I can train and lose some weight and get in shape. Yeah.
15
And they said
years.
you can walk.
You can walk 26 miles if you want. I get tired.
Start with the
driving.
half marathon.
Okay, you can start. I made it very clear that I do have a bucket list, but the marathon isn't one
Not
of
on the
no,
list.
Heck no.
So
anyway,
Robin and Chelsea were there from the Kauai Marathon organization. Councilmember Bulasan sponsored this certificate. And it was just to recognize all their efforts. 15 years now. She's explained how they went from 400 participants in the beginning to 900, so more than double. She said they have 750 volunteers helping with this year. So it's quite an undertaking. I haven't participated
Neither have I.
in the past,
And I have no plans to, but Councilmember
but
Bulasan
yeah,
had,
he said he
did a
has.
half marathon, so
I know
kudos to
my,
him.
my halal helps with some of the opening ceremonies, and they have so many, like, oh, what is it, 16 stations along the way. So the county, I believe they said, has a station as well. So maybe we can start by volunteering with that. And they also said they have a van, right? And Bernard, Councilmember Cavalli had said, yeah, you don't want to be picked up by the van because that means you're like not making it. And then
Yeah.
the van picks you up. So Mal volunteered to drive the van.
I'll drive the van to pick up Kagawa and Kualii. Yeah, I'll help out by not being on the road that day because we all know that it creates quite a traffic issue. But when you look at, like you said, from 400 to 900, it takes almost as many volunteers to run this event than it does the runners. So I can remember in the early days when they were still working out the kinks, but now they got it. This marathon is well known across the world, really. And yeah, so congratulations to
And
the Kauai
something too
Marathon.
about how it's one of the more difficult ones, so they don't necessarily make their record times in this marathon.
Yeah, well, we have hills, we have heat, we have all of those things. Unlike many of the larger marathons, it's flat, you know. And no, it's not an
But
easy
she
marathon.
did, yeah. She said to encourage everyone that it is for everyone, and that it's only a small part of that 900 participants that are like the serious ones
Yeah.
doing time and everything. I mean, you do, to me, you have to train some to handle it and to be able to complete it, but it is for everyone.
Yeah. So we'll see you guys there.
we'll see.
Well, he'll see
Couple
you
of
there,
years.
not me. After that, we had a very important discussion, and it's an issue that doesn't, you know, it's kind of island wide, but it is our public accesses, and we have public accesses all over this island, Mauka and Makai. We have mountain access for hunting and hiking and recreational events. We have the beach access for fishing and swimming and diving. And if you have been here long enough, you know that we have lost many of our traditional customary accesses. Uh, one of the accesses that was brought to our attention has been an issue for a while is Anini Beach Road, where, you know, in the old days, Kipukai, we could go all the way down. You could drive all the way down to the river mouth. You could do your fishing, your diving, your spearing, whatever you wanted.
There's a bridge that went over the stream, the
Or-
river
yeah,
before.
yeah, that's dating us though.
Yeah.
That's really dating us. But yeah, but even after the bridge was gone, at least the public had access, and it, you know, it's a lot of kupuna use that area. Uama fishing, the river mouth, that brackish water. You got Papio and Ulua in there. There's just a lot of activities. But you know, landowners come in and they buy property, and in this case, they bought the property and basically blocked the access, and they vegetated the beach and have pretty much claimed it as private property, and we all know that's not allowed. And so I did put it on the agenda to have the discussion with the council members to figure out how can we prevent this from happening and how can we stop this from continuing. And lively discussion. Mr. Peter Morimoto, he's a local
Yeah, I was
attorney.
gonna
He's
mention
a
Peter.
former county attorney and was very active in the county, and he's
Council
very
services staff.
yeah, he's
one
a
of
good
our-
guy, very smart, knowledgeable, and he put on a presentation that was really all you need is his presentation, and then you can come to the conclusion that that is a public access that needs to be preserved and returned. So
In his presentation, he shared quite a few pictures, and it primarily has to do too with the old government road and easement, and how at one point somebody, the owner, put up a gate. So the complaint was you clearly blocking the access. So the owner took the gate down, but there was still like cones being put up. Maybe ATV and security parking where the entrance area is. And so you're still giving the appearance that this is not a place for you to come into, but it is a public road. And beyond the road, at the end of the road, closer to the stream, is actually a property owned by DLNR as well, so state property. And of course, the beach is all public property as well. The road pretty much runs, parallel to the beach. There's a sliver of land, which is a kind of a grassy area now, but it was sand, and a row of pine trees. So people can use that grassy area and that sand area because it's beach, you know.
Yeah, I think, we know, it's not disputed that that was a government road, that that was a public access. In fact, our county, up until 2012, I believe, was maintaining that road and picking up trash, and that all stopped because it was, who owns the road? Well, it was a government road. It's what is called a road in limbo, which it's a government road that hasn't been really accepted by the state or the county, but it's nonetheless still a government road. And blocking that is really a criminal offense. It is a misdemeanor to block obstructing a public access, which I made it very clear that if you are denied access down there by a security guard or anybody, you call the police and make sure that the police come down and inform those people. We just simply cannot do that. And again, this is one of many that we've lost, and this is just the start of a plan to move forward. I did want to say Councilmember Billy DeCosta, this has been his priority since I came back on the council a year and a half ago. He came up to me and said, Chair, we really got to start reclaiming our accesses. So we have been doing the research. This one was, in my opinion, was quite egregious because people are getting kicked off the beach. Security guards are kicking local residents off of the beach, which is a big no-no. So I felt it important enough to put it on the agenda. So we got a lot of work to do.
Some of the testifiers too had, expressed those concerns and saying that clearly it's not just a problem for this particular area or even this part of the island, but for all over the island. And they want us to look into it more and do what we can. And you had kind of pressed the planning department too, saying, okay, so what is the current law and who's enforcing it?
Yeah, I mean, come on, folks. That's one of our basic rights as residents of this island and this state. I mean, I have no problem with landowners that purchase these properties. I do have a problem when these landowners, again, illegally expand their property by planting grass or trees or whatever. And in fact, it's against the law. The way the law reads is the shoreline is set at the highest reach of the waves, the seasonal highest reach of the waves. So you take the winter season, and wherever that debris line or wherever the highest reach of that surf ends up, that's the new shoreline. And in this case, the shoreline actually should be over that road because now even the seasonal surf, the water goes past the county road or the government road. So yeah, it's very clear that the improvements that have been made at this property is in the public right of way. And this landowner has put down lawn chairs and surfboard racks and
so there's all the work too over the years, that the North Shore resident Karen Diamond did, and how the language is artificial vegetation.
Correct.
So a private property owner cannot extend his property onto the beach by putting in artificial vegetation, and that the high wash of the waves and where the sand goes is where the beach is. But it also takes sometimes challenging and a challenge to get a certification and that. I think in this instance, it shouldn't necessarily take that because it's pretty obvious just by the pictures.
Yeah.
There's the road, there's the line of ironwood trees, and there's some grassy area that they created artificially, and sand and the ocean. And when there's even pictures in the winter when the waves are high that the sand actually covers that grassy area.
Correct.
So granted, the people that stay on that private property have the right to use the beach as public like everybody else, but they don't have the right to put their furniture there and to put cones up and to try and own it, if you will, or reserve it for themselves. It's for all of the public. The other thing I wanted to add too, so Councilmember Cowden had shared some pictures too, and had said that she had talked with the owner, Jeff Stone, and that his team, the team that she talked with and worked with, was great, and they were super helpful, and that they, from their side, said they're not wanting to take away the beach or the access from anyone, and that. So then Councilmember Cowden said she believes that there's a way for this to be a win-win situation. I still think it's important that we follow up because the pictures also showed what it showed. And so I had called too in one of my final statements just to say, kind of calling out to the owner himself, to Jeff Stone, saying, if this is true and you want to be positive and support the community, then you should remove the cones. You should stop parking the ATV at the entrance gate. You should remove the surf racks and boards from being stored on the beach, and remove any of your furniture from your property. Put it back across the road on your side of the fence. And then the big one too is, so planning was talking about how that sliver of land is actually private property. So somehow, way back when, they allowed a private owner to own part of the beach, which doesn't make sense, right? Where the ironwood trees are. And then there was talk about, oh, maybe open space could get funds and then try to purchase that part back. I'm thinking, no, it's the beach. Why don't Mr. Stone please donate it back? Give that
Absolutely.
to the people of Kauai.
Absolutely. I think, there, I mean, while I agree with negotiating and that giving that an opportunity, the win-win is follow the law.
Follow the law.
That's the win-win. There's no way around the law, and there's no need to negotiate with the landowner. There's really one option, and it's to send the landowner a notice of violation and make sure that it gets rectified. I mean, that's how you resolve issues like this, because it involves public access. If two neighbors have a dispute, yes, you go negotiate. Private property owners want to dispute, private, fine, go ahead and negotiate, go mediate. But in this case, where we're losing public access, where kupuna is now being prevented from getting to the end of that area to go fish for Oama, no, there's no negotiation there. You clear your stuff out and open up that access. And Mr. Kualii is right. Right now, based on the data and the evidence that we have, that area that he's using as a private area is definitely within the public right of way. The shoreline, and we'll probably be introducing a resolution urging the state to do the shoreline certification. We'll have a clearly defined area, clearly marked area where public access starts. And I think that is long term, I think that's the way to go, but I agree. We should definitely be going after the access right now, as we can clearly see in the pictures, is being taken away. That meeting was deferred for 2 more weeks.
Yep.
My plan is to have DLNR, planning, OCCL, conservation land people, as well as the BLNR and anyone else, maybe even a landowner, to come down and we can have a much more wide discussion on this area. But keep in mind, this is just one of many. I think Mr. DeCosta has 3 other accesses that we're actively working on right now that I'm hoping we can get to before the end of the year. And that was the end of that one. And then Hawaii Food Bank provided an update. I'll turn it over to Mr. Kualii because I had to step out. And unfortunately, I missed this segment, so I'm actually listening.
Yeah,
Mr. Kualii.
so the Hawaii Food Bank, they had their president and chief executive officer, Amy Miller, come from Oahu actually to do a presentation. I think pretty much their whole board was with them. Their Kauai lead person running the food bank here, and the board was sitting in the audience, and she pretty much gave a thorough report, a briefing on their recent study, the state of food insecurity in Hawaii. And they defined food insecurity as the lack of access to enough food for an active, healthy life. They did share a lot of statistics which were pretty troubling. I don't think people realize that it's as bad as it is, that 1 in 3 households were food insecure in 2023. 29% of households with children. Just a lot of troubling numbers. It was a survey done by SMS, so it was a statistically correct. I think somebody had concerns because the count was 910 residents that were surveyed, and that is statewide, but it met the statistically requirements. We talked about, inflation plays a role in the cost of food being so high, and then people having to, choose between medicine or food. And they also said too that food is medicine. So at the very basic level, our families and our kids need the basic food and nutrition just to be healthy. Um, she she did say too that she said that they have a food for keiki program, and that they're already working with 15 out of our 16 DOE schools here on Kauai, and they have Wilcox as the last school to get in the program, and she said that should be happening in the next couple of months. And then she said primarily the way that the council could help is to help them create more awareness of how great the need is, but also awareness for those that do need to step forward and come get the help and to not be shamed. You know, the need is everywhere, and it kind of was really highlighted, if you will, or heightened during the COVID and all. Um, to highlight the need, to highlight the partners that are helping, and to if the county can help in any way with fundings. They bragged about how Maui County gives regular funding support, and of course in our last budget cycle, housing was the priority. But some of the council members expressed that maybe in our next round of budgeting we should also look at potentially providing funds here as well. And then just government partnering with the food banks. And we all recognize the great work that they do, and we support them immensely, In my closing remarks, I ended up saying, she also said that philanthropy is down. So in general, people's giving is less. And I felt like even though philanthropy might be down across the nation, that here on Kauai in our county, our people are like a very generous people. And I think if they see the need, they're going to step up and they're going to share what they have. So I suggested to them that they need to do more outreach of how we as individuals also, and from our families, can help. And you know about like food drives that happen in your workplace every once a year or whatever, but maybe something more on a regular basis where individual homes can share what they have. Those that can. And then they're always needing volunteers. So if you're wanting to help, just step forward. Don't wait for them to ask you. Contact them. Either of our food banks. We have this Hawaii Food Bank, hawaiifoodbank.org, and then we also have is it called Independent Food Bank?
The Kauai Food Bank.
Independent Food Bank. So volunteer, donate. The need is great, and we should be helping however we can.
Yeah, I think we really should support both of our food banks on the island. I know they both provide amazing services to our people, and the county does provide some funding to programs that actually provide food for
right.
the food bank. There's also grant
Councilmember
opportunities.
DeCosta had mentioned that, indirectly, but the county played a role, especially before under Mayor Carvalho when it was all initiated, with supporting the food sustainability. What did they call them? The parks, like Kilauea Ag Park. Park. And so now the programs by Yosh Lahot and his whole team, they're out in Kilauea in their ag park. They're creating the foods, and they actually work with the food banks. I think they sell those food grocery produce boxes that get delivered to the homes. The food banks work with them, buy it at a discount from them. Of course, they're able to give a discount because the county helped them in the first place with the land and the infrastructure and the water and all of that to get this going, the growing.
Yeah, we have more billionaires moving to our island. I think
Yeah.
man, they could help out so much. I mean, that's the call out, I guess. Hey,
Yeah.
all you billionaires, man, just drop a little bit, help so many people. It always amazes me that we live on an island that has all the tools necessary to create a sustainable food source for our island. I mean, we got abundant oceans. We got abundance of lands that could be used for ranching and farming, for vegetables and fruits. And I really wish that our state would really focus on providing the incentives to our local ranchers and farmers and fishermen that we could actually go out and provide sustainable or food security for our state. I don't understand. But aside from that, I mean, if not for the food banks, we would see a lot of people starving. I mean, I think with the numbers that you just shared, and again, I wasn't at the briefing, but the numbers that you shared, there are many people here that have a rough time, and you know they rely on the food bank. So it's an opportunity for all of you that are watching. You know, support your food bank. You know, donate your food or money or your time, because it does help some of the less fortunate. So, yeah, I appreciate having them there. I really, I missed the meeting, but I'll get the slides from Kipukai with all his notes. You take a lot of notes, man.
That's how I listen.
The other thing too is, you know, we're sitting here at Huike Studios with Roger as our cameraman right here, and they give us this opportunity every single week. You know, people like the food bank should be taking advantage of this resource. They should be here doing a show, sharing that slideshow with the people. I think, you know, this is a resource that is barely used or not used enough to get the message out. We really don't have print media anymore. The Garden Island really doesn't cover much local events except for Mr. Donald Fujimoto, who he's a blessing. But this is a resource right here at Huike Studios, so convenient on Rice Street. And you can put on your message out here, especially for the nonprofits. And it's a great segue into, you know, you can watch this meeting that we're talking about. I really encourage you guys to watch this one, because Anini, the discussion was very full. But you know, Channel 53, you can tune in and watch it there, or Kauai.gov. It's a Sauer County website. If you click on the webcast button, it takes you right to our menu of meetings that you can just click on the county council. You can watch any meeting. This was August 21st, and you can learn all about Anini and the public access issues we have down there. So,
And the food bank.
and the food bank, and the certificates for those three heroes. And one last thing, because we do have a storm brewing coming up this our way. We don't know how it's going to be, but it's never too early to prepare. So I'm not sure when you'll be watching this, but please keep in mind the tendency is to just, because we're so used to the weatherman telling us, oh, it's dying off. I just want to please implore you guys, be ready so you don't have to get ready.
And the current newspaper, monthly newsletter from KIUC, the stuff that comes in your bill with the gas bill, they have a lot of information there about how to get ready. So obviously you can Google it too.
Yeah, please do that, man. We just got to be prepared. All right. Anything else, my friend?
Oh, that's it.
If not, Roger, thank you very much to all of you. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, check it out, Channel 53 on Huike or Kauai.gov webcast meetings. You get to watch this all as it happens. All right, guys, you guys take care. God bless. Until next week, hui ho.
Mahalo. Aloha.